Before we get started tonight, ladies and gentlemen, on another episode here on Fast Break for IE Sports Radio, I want to talk to y'all about the last 8 years of the network. For the last 8 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. All the while, we've been continuing to be by the fans, for the fans. With your help, we're ready to take that next step. When you go to our website, iesportsradio.com, you see our Patreon link with 5 different tiers. The first one starting at $5 a month. This donation gets you shout-outs on all 32 of our shows. Higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, and even a chance to be featured on our segment show, The Defining Moment. Thank you all very much for contributing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. I do want to shout out our 4 Patreon members: Bay Area Rays, Marcus, Los, Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. Thank you to everyone for making our 8th anniversary special. And here's for many years to come. Now on to the show. We're back today, and tonight's episode we'll be discussing Tyler Hero's contract extension with the Heat. Is it going to be a big deal down the line? And why did it finally get done compared to the previous year? Plus, we'll go over the Northwest Division tonight in our NBA preview series. Lots to talk about in this division. Lots of rebuild between OKC and Utah. Do they embrace the youth movement, or they make some other moves? Can Denver beat title threats with Murray and Michael Porter coming back into the fold? Can Portland have a bounce back year with Damian Lillard back healthy, or that roster still kind of stinks? Plus, can Ruby Gobert be a good change for the Minnesota Timberwolves? We discuss that and much more here on Fast Break Live for IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for that is always sports, and you're welcome to join us. Join us as you shout tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Lots to talk about, lots to discuss. I do want to say this, and D-Lock, you're a native to Florida. Best wishes for everybody down in Florida. The hurricane that came through really did some damage down there. A lot of people lost their homes. Beaches are wiped out. You know, lots of water on the inland, all that stuff. So prayers to the people down in Florida. D-Lock, I know you're a native of Florida. You got family down there. I'll let you speak on it. How's everything down there in Florida, from what you can tell?
Thanks, man. Everything is actually pretty good in the central area. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was expected to hit my hometown, Tampa, at a Hurricane 5-4. By the time it got there, it kind of was in the Sarasota area, kind of Bradenton. Hit probably Hurricane 4, Hurricane 3 area. So what really got it, what took a lot of it was Fort Myers. A lot of Fort Myers was affected a lot. But thankfully, a lot of family members for me and others. Uh, lost lights for a little bit for a few days, but they're just not getting things back on. In fact, I got a call from my mom earlier today. Happy because the lights is on, so that was a great thing. But she did have a generator, which most families have, or a lot of families did have. So, but I think things are going to take time to rebuild. A lot of the Florida area, especially those areas by the coast. So, I do remember seeing different beaches with literally no water.
Yeah.
Very different, without very odd, very strange. But all in all, it did do the damage. Praying for those that do have lost a lot. Hopefully not, family members, but in important things. Hopefully they can get back on their feet, and hope things go well. Right now, like I said, usually around this time is always hurricane season in Central Florida and in South Florida, but we always hear about different hurricanes. This just has to be Hurricane Ian was the one that most, I guess, the biggest category one that we've heard of in the past couple of years. So glad everybody is safe. It didn't fully do a crazy damage. It did do some damage, but it didn't completely wipe out Florida. So all of them in the positive. So I'm hoping that families get back on their feet and get everything rolling in the right direction.
So yeah, I hope everybody is doing well down there. I know some people, don't have power still. I seen, before we get rolling here, I seen like on Twitter some a girl who goes to school at UCF. They try and go back. They telling the students go back. They come back to school on tomorrow, and a lot of those kids are saying that they got no power, they lost transportation, all that stuff, and they're trying to go to school on Monday and all that stuff, which I think is kind of wild. And then you also got Olders down there that, some of the highway ain't passable either. So it's like, what are you doing, UCF? Like, you gotta be smart about it, how you do about things. So we'll keep our eyes on that. See what happens. See what changes. I know that storms move up around along the East Coast now, so not gonna be as strong, but if you're up in the East Coast, just be weather aware and all that stuff. D-Lock, we're gonna go strong for at least an hour. No strong 30 minutes, unlike the Titans who can't do nothing in the second half. We go strong all the way through. Tyler Hero tonight finally got his contract extension. We always thought it was kind of weird that Duncan Robinson got that big money deal before Hero, and then they don't play after that. They don't barely play Duncan Robinson, but the deal finally got done for Hero. 4-year contract extension for Mr. Hero. Try and get those numbers real quick. The joys of smartphones. I'm pulling it. Where is it at? Anyways, a 4-year deal. D-Lock, what you think about his contract extension for the Heat?
Well, I'll tell you this. I think this is a better deal than what they gave Duncan Robinson. Fresh off winning 6th Man of the Year, you believe it was some talks people were trying to get him to be moved in some deals, which they definitely weren't going to do. But I believe this is a great deal. You have a player who can come off the bench, make a huge impact when you need to give Jimmy Butler some rest. That is a huge thing. The thing about this Heat team and the reason why they're still ranked as I had them as the best in their division is because they have that culture and they still have their right now, with those guys being able to produce as well as they are, and they did, they're gonna need a break. And when they get that break, you have a great player or a very good player on the bench in Tyler Hero. I believe one of the few players that did get the six-man of the year twice with Jamal Crawford. The question is, can Tyler Hero do that? I highly believe he can. The biggest thing also is the fact that he lost a couple of pieces as far as the PJ Tucker. And I believe that this signing is going to show that they're going to rely a lot on him, and I think he's going to be able to produce. So I like the signing. I mean, I think he's a very young player, going to do well for them for years to come. It took a while for them to get it done, but finally they did. I guess getting that six-man of the year and producing like he did last year was okay, well, hey, let's get this kid signed up. So I definitely like it, man. Now, hopefully, he doesn't fall off the cliff like Duncan Robinson did.
I finally got the numbers up, D-Lock. It's 4 years, $130 million. So, the going rate for, guys in his position. For me, real quick, very much needed done. You were kind of speculating that, when we get done, or if at all, because he was kind of in trade rumors for some of these bigger names out here: Durant, Donovan Mitchell, James Harden. Those guys, and you figure he might be packaged up in those deals because he's probably will be highly coveted. But Miami didn't do nothing. They decided stick with him there. And before we got on the show, you kind of asked me, how to get all this money. And I kind of looked at the numbers. His contract won't kick in until next season. And at that point, let's see, I got the numbers here. I got it. At that point, come next year, Jimmy Butler, he'll be in the $30 million range. Bam Adebayo, $30 million range. Kyle Lowry will be the last year of his deal come next year. And that'll be in the $30 million range. And after that, Hero deal will kick in $30 million range. A lot of money there. You also got to think about this. Duncan Robinson, $16 million. Not bad in today's NBA. But, will he be around come next season? So 50 Oladipo, he resigned back for 1 year for $8 million. So after that, everybody else is on like $5 million or so. But what I won't say, but I'll say this to the Heat. They've done a great job going through the undrafted route and finding guys, for cheap that can come in and do a lot of things that they want to do. And, for Miami, I think this is a good signing, for the future. And they continue with their culture and whatnot. How they've been doing things. I think they'll be all right. Can he rise to that superstar level? I don't know. Because Jimmy Butler, he's getting up there in years. And I think, that's one thing you got to keep an eye on. And Jimmy Butler got a lot of miles on him. Great athlete, take care of himself. But he's also 33 years old. So you hope that, Tyler Hero takes it up a notch and then after a while, him and Bam Adebayo be your two main core pieces, and whoever else you surround your team with. But I do like the signing. They very value him very much. I like the kid. Very tough. Can play multiple positions from a point, 2 yard, even a 3. So I think it's a good deal for Miami. And that Heat culture, doing wonders for a lot of guys in the league.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think Tyler Hero is one of the better players. And for this team to have a chance of going far, I mean, we've seen Jimmy Butler have those games where he's, going 35 or going 30, 8 and 4. But there are also those games where he's going 18 or he's going 15, 3 and 6, where he's not really doing too much. And those are the games that you need to see Tyler Hero make a huge impact, which we've seen. So we need to see that consistency. Now, like you said, Jimmy Butler is in fact 33, so we're not going to see that older Jimmy Butler on an every game basis, especially in this type of league, all these games. So for me, you making this signing is huge. And don't forget, we were hearing the Miami Heat into looking for trade possibilities or connected to different trade options. So looking for that extra shooter. And I think not going to go grab that other shooter shows how much they have faith into what Tyler Hero can bring to the table. So like I said, I like the signing, and I'm expecting him to help them out a lot moving forward.
So yeah, I mean, so we'll keep an eye on, and no saying goes in the NBA, anybody can get traded. So we'll see, if a deal comes up and Miami takes it, will he be involved in it? So we'll see. Before we get to our previews, I do want to shout out to the chat. Shout out to Marcus Los, great. Shout out to Taryn Rodriguez. How you doing tonight, sir? Marcus, bring up the point about, Ime Yukata's situation. As a man of color, why we have to ask questions? As a man of color, why we have to ask the question, why do we allow sex to derail our dreams? I don't know, man. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. It's like, loaded question. A lot of men got needs. And I get your point. I hate that Coach Yukata did what he did, because he was assistant for multiple years. I said this on last week's show. And he got this chance with an organization with 2 tailor-made all-stars, and he couldn't, control his urges. And look where he's at now. The Celtics won their preseason game today against the Hornets. So I don't know what's going to happen with him. Depends how the season goes. And the interim coach does his thing, then Coach Yukata may be gone, but we shall see. D-Lock, I'll let you go first. Northwest Division. A lot of intrigue, to say the least. You got at least 2 teams that are down for a rebuild. One team trying to go one last shot with their superstar and Damian Lillard. Another team, Minnesota, trying to build some continuity within themselves. And Denver gets 2 big, one big time player and one player that we don't know what he can be in this league because he really had played a lot. So I'll let you go first. Who you got 5-1 in the Northwest Division for the upcoming NBA season?
Okay, before I get started, the Bucks game just started. So if something happens, I will kind of explode. Just now we just fumbled the damn kickoff return. Look like the Chiefs have it already. So, yeah. Anyway, so at the bottom I have OKC Thunder at 5. Now I know they have a year in. That experience, they should be much better. But right now, who I'm depending on this team right now is 2 players, and SGA and Josh Giddey. I think those are their shooters. Those are the guys that they can rely on the most. They can need more help at the big position. James Robinson Earl is a very good player. I just don't think he's that dominant big to help them with what they need. I think the inconsistency between him and Darius Bazley is what's going to hurt them. I think we see Aaron Wiggins look a hell of a lot better this year than last year. LaQuinn Dort, he had an inconsistent season, pretty decent, but he's going to be that defender that plays a part, the 3-and-D. They went and got Trey Burke as far as rotation guys, as far as the guards, which is what they needed. Damn, already?
Yep, already.
So, yeah. So again, they have Trey Burke, which I think is a part of a rotation, which is what they need. So, you gotta have some guys here, like I said, Trey Man, SGA, Josh Giddey. But for me, I see this team is still somewhat in that rebuilding mode. Also, they still have all those picks. So I have them at 5. I think we'll see them moving forward, maybe a year or 2 later, but not at this moment. 4. I got the Portland Trailblazers. Nassir Little. Got you a couple guys in Anthony Simmons, and we know what Dame is. The inconsistency of Yusuf Nurkic. I love Yusuf Nurkic. I like to see him at his all-time best. He's a very good player. But this team is really relying a lot on Damian Lillard. And his play is still yet in question right now. I don't know what too much to expect from him moving forward with this team. I think we thought they were a big issue with Dame and C.J. McCollum. Now they have basically one main shooter to rely on. I don't see Anthony Simmons in the category of C.J. McCollum right now. So leaning a lot more heavily on Damian Lillard, Josh Hart to step up and play a role. Hopefully Justice Winslow can get it right. These are the things that these are the players that need to step up and help Dame. You went and got Jeremy Grant, which I think is good for the defensive side, but he's not a huge improvement to me than what they've already had. So, again, for me, I have them at 4. I just feel like this team is just relying a little too much on Dame. Now, this division is not super strong in my opinion. I just think that they're at the bottom of the barrel with this division. Hopefully, we see a lot more in Gary Payton, who's now with Portland, and Josh Hart. But outside of that, I don't really see too much of a huge difference for me in them. At 3, I have Utah. Now, this is one of the teams that is in that rebuild mode that you were talking about. This is one of the teams that was notably big for the big trade and trading Ruby Gobert. Recently just traded Donovan Mitchell. But as I look at this roster, right, let's just forget about the age part right now. Let's look at the talent. and what it could potentially be. Right? You have Mike Conley there, who has the experience already. You have a Colin Sexton, who I like. Malik Beasley, very good play. Let's go. You have a Lauren Marketing, who I feel like in Cleveland was in there with Evan Mobley, with a Jared Allen. So he kind of got lost in the rotation there. So now you have him. Walker Kessler, rookie. I think it's going to be pretty decent. Jared Vanderbilt also, who had a solid season with Minnesota. You still got your six-man potential in Jordan Clarkson. So I like this roster, this young roster. Now, again, I'm not expecting this team to make the playoffs, but I definitely see them being a hell of a lot better than OKC or the Portland Trailblazers. You still have a veteran player in Mont Conley there. Now, granted, like you said earlier when it came to Tyler Hero, we don't know who's going to get traded. But we could possibly be seeing him move very soon. But they have a Colin Sexton there, and Malik Beasley, the kid Alexander Walker, who had a pretty solid season last year. You have some bodies. Kelly-O in question. We'll see what they really do with him. I'm kind of thinking when it comes to the rotational and the rebuild, I think Walker Kessler is part of that rebuild. So I think him, Vanderbilt, on market, I think we see more of them in a rotation with the bigs rather than a Kelly-O Olynyk. Also signed like Cody Zeller, who we know what he can bring to the table, which is not much. Another player that I haven't talked about that they have that's been talked up a lot is THT Taylor Horton-Tucker. He hasn't fit into what we have expected yet, but can he? That would be great if he can kind of grow into that. He's on a roster now where he's going to have more of a role, I believe. Now we've seen in the past players like a Julius Randle, like D'Angelo Russell, like a Brandon Ingram, like a Kyle Kuzma leave LA and play a hell of a lot better. Hopefully, we possibly can see that in the THT, especially out of Utah. So right now, like I said, I think that Utah, again, in the rebuild mode, but looking at what Portland has, looking at what OKC has, I definitely see them a lot better than both of those teams. So I definitely have them at 3. At 2, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Make the big trade to get Rudy Gobert, which left me in question for a minute. But now the fact that I see a possibility of starting Rudy Gobert at the 5 and Karl Anthony Towns at the 4. I mean, if this team don't lead and grabbing boards next year, something is wrong. If this team lets teams score against them in the paint, something is wrong. This team has a defensive player in the league, a defensive player in the year, in Rudy Gobert, and a three-point champion, as rare as that sounds, a three-point champion big man, and Karl Anthony Towns. So you have the best of both worlds down low. And that's not to mention having a D'Angelo Russell, or Anthony Edwards, a hell of a piece in Kyle Anderson, who you picked up from Memphis. This team, I believe, can do wonders. And what I mean by that is they could potentially be a team to be talked about in the West. And I hate to say it, but I'm always the one, Davidson, that is hyping up the Timberwolves. The past couple of years, we do the preview. I'm the one that hypes up the Timberwolves, and I cannot get off that train right now because I feel like they have made some key moves what we thought were in question, but going to grab some of these players as in big name and Rudy Gobert, I think that's going to help them make that big move. Need to see a growth in Anthony Edwards as well. Go grab Bryn Forbes, the rotational guys, and Austin Rivers. I definitely love both of those. Still got Tony and Prince there, and you got off the bench, great or good, very good player in the guard, and Jalen Noel. So this roster isn't really that bad. Um, Also, Naj Reid is there, so he does come in and play a good role for them when it comes to giving those big men a break. But the biggest thing for me is the fact that you can start Carlos in the town after 4.5, Gobert after 5. Now, last year, centers would destroy the Timberwolves. Any of you guys that play FanDuel or any fantasy, as good as Carl Anthony Towns is on the offensive side, he plays terrible on the defensive side. So going to Gobert, I think, is going to show great benefit. Now you got Jade McDaniel. Bumped him at the 3. I think that's going to be a big plus as well. So I definitely think that this team is going to make big steps, even though they lost Patrick Beverley.
Lost a lot of depth.
And get in the playoffs. So, but again, I like this team. I think they're going to make a big difference, and also the division that they're in, it kind of plays in their favor. And number one, without obvious for me, the Denver Nuggets. The main reason why I got them being number one is simply because of Nikola Jokic. I think he goes back running for the MVP award. But also what plays a part is the thing that we've seen a lot with this team last year, they had guards that were very inconsistent. Jamal Murray was hurt, and we didn't know who the hell was going to score for them. One day it was Bones Highland. Austin Rivers would come in and play a little bit. Jeff Green was sometimes coming in and get some run. Going to get a Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, I think, is a big plus. He's on a team where he's not expected to do entirely too much. You go grab him in a Bruce Brown, especially known for his defense and his physicality, which is what this team missed last year. So I think that grabbing those pieces is going to be great. You're going to see, wait a minute, Chapter Kelsey do whatever he wants. You're going to see Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter, I think, make that transition as well, hopefully. And we get to see Jamal Murray this year.
Yes, he'll be back this year.
Yeah, so I think that, he's going to be a huge piece as well. Now they get a little bit more consistency at that guard position. So for me, then you sign Ed Smith. So kind of rotating the guards that they had last year to a little bit more consistent guards. But I like this team. I mean, you're gonna have to put all your attention on Jokic. You're gonna have to double team as you did last year. Before that, you're gonna go in the run for MVP again. But going to get a Caldwell-Pope, going to get a Bruce Brown, you brought some defense and some physicality to this team, and that's what they lacked last year. Now that you have that impact, I think we see a slower paced game now. And what we see on this team is always a very fast pace. Again, they get in these shootouts. Hopefully, bringing in the Caldwell-Pope and the Bruce Brown kind of slows that down. Because teams will literally score a lot. This is one of those. You look at Nuggets games; they have them over unders about 230, 240 sometimes. Just because so many points is being scored in these games. So hopefully Bruce Brown and KCP can help that out. I think this is going to be one of the better teams in the West. Now the West is loaded. I do see them competing to go pretty far. But I think Jamal Murray is going to be a very key piece. Hopefully we can see a Michael Porter Jr. healthy this year as well. That's going to play a huge part. You need to see him come in and play big. He's about 6'7", so you can rotate him between the 3 and the 4 position. He can play damn near any position. So, but to bring in that physicality with a Bruce Brown, I definitely love that pickup because that's what you need, especially on a team like this. So, for me, OKC at 5, Portland at 4, Utah, to a lot of people shockingly at 3. Minnesota, watch out for them this year. I don't think they'd be in the play-in this year. I actually think they get in the top 7 seed, top 8. And then I got Denver at 1.
All right. Let me go and get rolling on this. Number 5, OKC Thunder. I got a starting lineup of Josh Giddey, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Dort. And when I wrote these notes down, they recently have traded Derek Favors. So, you know, who they started center, I don't know. They do got the... make sure I get this guy's name right. Poksevi, the guy from Greece. I think he should be starting at the 4. And if I have to say a starting 5 for them, I'm looking maybe Jalen Williams. He was a very solid player at Arkansas. I'll say give him a chance, see what we can do. But it sucks that Chet Holmgren is out for the year after playing that pro-am in Seattle. Really, really sucks. Wherever young players they got, the guys they drafted in the first round, let those guys play. And then mainly make sure Chet Holmgren is good to go for health for next year if they decided to do that. Make sure everything's right. Make sure everything's good to go. And also in that time, get a little weight under him. Do those things. I think you'd be coming out looking good if you're OKC. So I got them at number 5. Number 4, I got the Utah Jazz. It's a weird roster right now. The time I wrote this out, Bogdanovich got traded to Detroit for like a pack of Little Debbies. But no, I'll say this. For Kelly Olynyk and Saban Lee. So, you know, I thought that was kind of odd. And in which they were sending asking for first round picks for him. Kind of odd you took back 2 role players for a guy you trying to fetch for first round picks. This is when you kind of question Danny Ainge and stuff like that. And what he's trying to do. Also, well, I know we'll get to the Detroit part, but I'll say this. Bogdanovich is going to be a person to keep an eye on if he gets bought out or not. And a lot of contending teams, especially a couple on this preview here, if he's bought out, a team like a Minnesota, a team like Denver, gotta take a chance on him. But if he get bought out by Detroit, so I got Utah for right now. I got them as starting lineup as Conley, Sexton, Markkanen, as a bouquet, and then my 3-man. Maybe Beasley, maybe to Horton Tucker. And then also D-Lock for Utah. How long do those vets stay on the roster? Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson. You already traded away Bogdanovich. And how much they going to get back for them? Because you trade for him for Kelly Olynyk and Saban Lee. If you're a Utah fan, I'm nervous when you trade for those other guys for. They're trying to con and bully the Lakers, trying to charge the Laker tax to trade for these guys, and the Lakers didn't really budge. Now you kind of sitting training for guys who are just role players, and look where you're at now. I think sometimes some of these teams trying to do too much and they shoot themselves in the foot. And you look down the road, come 5, 6, 7 years down the road, and you can kind of look and see why they're in the same position where they are. Now look at the Pacers, for example. Again, I'll get off topic, but Russell Westbrook got an expiring contract. You're not doing anything. You got two guys, and Buddy Hield, Miles Turner ain't really going to move the needle for you for this year. Trade them, get what you can. If Lakers just offered one first round pick down the road, and God knows what they're going to look like down the road, do the damn deal. You're getting $45 million off your cap after this season. First round pick down the road. Just do the damn deal. Same thing with Utah here. Just do the damn deal. But I got Utah number 4. But shout out to Colin Sexton on getting his contract extension. 3. I got the Portland Trailblazers. I don't know if this team's a playoff team. I look at this roster, it's like I got a starting lineup of Lillard, Simons, Hart, Grant, and Nurkic. And then we talked about in the draft, they took Sheldon Sharp. If you're trying to make it back to the playoffs, how is this kid who haven't played competitive ball for a year and a half going to help your team? He's a good. He'd be a good pickup if you're rebuilding. But I'm not sure for right here, right now. Getting Peyton the second, good solid move. You know, Justice Winslow, Nasir Little, I think good guys to rotate in and out. You know, Trenton Rawford, you know, really came around late in the second half of the season. I hope he continued that progress with the second unit. But I really don't like this roster. And the reason why I will hope they would go ahead with the rebuild, Nurkic, you re-signed back for a big-time contract. And the dude really hadn't played a good amount for you for the past couple of years. You re-signed him to a big deal. You got Jeremiah Grant for one more year if you re-sign him. So I just kind of wondering what's going on in Portland. That's my thing. And I do wonder if they're not in playoff contention by the All-Star break and whatnot, after this season, do they start selling off Harts? What's the going rate for Damian Lillard? That's something really to keep an eye on for this Portland team. Number 2, Minnesota Timberwolves. I got a starting line with D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards. The 3 is kind of hard, but I went with Wendell Moore. Just for like shooting purposes on that. Towns and Gobert down low. Like you mentioned, D-Lock. If they're not top 5 in rebounding, then something wrong. And I know we talked about this when Gobert got traded there. Towns probably had to be the most happiest player in the league. Because we all know he liked to sit in that 3-point line and just chuck up threes. And he plays down low when it's convenient. Now, to give up four first-round picks for Ruby Gobert was a bit much. Let's be real about that. And I think that trade really kind of hindered the offseason potential other moves. So let's be real. If Minnesota didn't give up that much draft capital, then Durant, Kyrie, and some other folks were probably been traded during that summer. But, what happened, what happened. I do kind of worry about the outside shooting a little bit. They got enough shooters on this team after trading all those guys, plus the first round picks for Ruby Gobert, the depth and stuff like that. So I do worry about that for Minnesota. Yes, they picked up Kyle Anderson, in the fold. And they picked up somebody else. I'm looking right now. They picked up Austin Rivers as well. So I think, this Minnesota team should do fine. I think the main key thing is if Anthony Edwards continues his rise, I think things will be okay. And I also worry about D'Angelo Russell too, because it's like times that last year his play was non-existent for this team. And kind of go back to the depth thing, losing Pat Bev and a few other guys that pick up that slack may come back to haunt him. So if Russell can get back to solid play, I think they'll go a long way for this Minnesota team. Number 1, the Denver Nuggets. I got a starting lineup of Murray, either KCP or Bruce Brown, one of those two. But I think they go with KCP. Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Jokic. I think Murray will be back fine in fine form coming season. My thing is with Michael Porter Jr. He gets his big contract extension after really not showing too much to say on the court health-wise. They're giving this big extension, which I question, and a lot of Nuggets fans have barked back at us on Twitter. And I said to them, like, the dude hasn't been healthy. The dude, yes, he's a fine player, but it's just like, health-wise, he hasn't been on the court. And I kind of, wonder if they're gambling real big on him. That's a lot of money for a guy for multiple back surgeries. A lot of money. And then, like you pointed out, last year the guard play was so over the place with Murray gone. Bones Highland, Campazzo, Rivers. I feel like I'm missing somebody, but it seemed like it wasn't enough consistent play from these guys. Like a Bones Highland would have a good, like a 30-point game, but then you don't see nothing else from him for the rest of the couple weeks or so. And lucky for them, they had Jokic to keep everything afloat. And I think it'll be like that. If everybody's healthy, good to go, then you looking at a team that should be, at worst, Western Conference Finals bound. At the very least, Western Conference Finals bound. But if the injuries creep back up, mainly to those other two guys who aren't, and they ain't back 100%, then you're looking at another team that may win their first round series, but beyond the second round, they're not getting past that. But I got Denver number 1 for that reason, because of Jokic and Murray coming back. And I look at playoff teams in this division, it'll be just Denver and Minnesota. OKC and Utah, I think they're in rebuild mode. Portland, I don't think is what they got in their roster is not enough to make it to the playoffs. So I just got Minnesota and Denver making the playoffs. Like I said, if Denver, everybody's healthy, at least they should be making the Western Conference Finals. So it's going to be a real interesting division for this year. And I'll say this, I don't see Jokic being a 3-time MVP. I don't foresee it happening. In my eyes. He'll have another solid season, but I don't think, unless they're like clear top number one, all consistent all year. But I don't see him being MVP again.
I mean, my thing is also with the Nuggets, to grab a couple of those pieces that they have, I think that's going to be huge. Because now you have the inconsistency from last year change with the Caldwell Pope, Jamal Murray not healthy. So I think we see a lot more from the Nuggets, which means, or from those guards, which means we see a lot less from Jokic. They won't depend on him as much because of the guard play.
Yeah, it really boils down to guard play. I think Murray be straight, to be honest with you. And I think getting Bruce Brown was solid as well. I do like that move. And he can guard. He can guard their opposing team's best offensive player, him and KCP. So I think having those two guys there, you always had somebody out there guarding that team's best, either ball handler or offensive player, which I think would be very key. And you kind of look at this division, for example, you can stick one of those guys on Anthony Edwards, make him work hard for his points. Or if DeAndre Russell ain't having his best game, you have that dude on him and work his ass to death. Same thing for Lillard, make him work for his points. D him up real well. Josh Giddey, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, same thing. So we'll see how things shake out for this division. I think Denver at least be a 50-win team. I think the talent level in this NBA is really kind of starting leveling out in a lot of ways. But I think if this Denver team is healthy and whatnot, I think they can be a real dangerous threat to the NBA title. But I'll let you get the last word.
Yeah, like I said, the West is a very tough division. I think that the Nuggets could play a huge part, but we know, from what we've seen in the past, their physicality is what hurt them. They are one of the better teams. What the hell is this? They are one of the better teams in the NBA. It's just that, they start to wear down. And they're going to need that physicality later on down the season. So for me, that's the biggest thing, is the physicality in the guard play. You get you a healthy Michael Porter, who isn't really known for his defense, more so being that shooter. I think he's going to play a huge part on the offensive side. But scoring points is not an issue for them, really. They have a little bit, like I said, the guard. Oh my God, that was a pick. You have the consistency. You have more consistency playing the guard. Like, you scoring points last year. It's just that you weren't playing any defense when you needed to. So, hopefully bringing in the Bruce Brown. We know KCP can shoot, but also does do a little bit on the defensive side. Hopefully that play a part, especially in the West, which is loaded with the Warriors, the Lakers, who I think are going to be a hell of a lot better, the Clippers, who are going to be a team to reckon with. So, it's very interesting to see how this plays out for the Nuggets. Getting somebody to win MVP and not being in the running for the NBA Finals. I'm pretty sure that's kind of bothering. So this needs to be the year where they can make that step.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And we'll see how this division shakes out. I mean, we'll see how things go. I think another key storyline before we head out. Lillard. How things go in Portland, and if he has out or anything like that, does he get traded mid-season and wait till the offseason? So that's another thing to keep an eye on for this division. But this has been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. D-Lock, how can people find you on social media real quick?
You guys can definitely find me at Black Dash 813. Black the word dash 813. You'll see me tweeting a lot of shit right now because we getting our ass whooped right now, man. So let them know where they can find you, man.
You can find the show here on Fast Break at IESR. That's Fast Break IESR. Also, do follow my personal account on Twitter, Spawn4288. That's Spawn4288. Also, do check out IESportsradio.com. We do a lot of great things on there. NFL season underway, so we got a lot of shows and a lot of NFL markets. So do check out IESportsradio.com for all your latest show news and playbacks as well. Also, I do know a show on the side called The Crooks Process. I haven't posted an episode here lately, but I've been posting a lot of content on there as well. So do check out the page on Instagram and Facebook. That is The Crooks Process on there. Plus, I do have a TikTok as well at Spawn8842. So do check that out on TikTok as well. So until then, ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk to y'all next week. Since our schedule got rearranged a little bit, we'll let you know on Twitter what division we'll be doing next. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.